whatever she decides next. Has the ability to impact an entire country in ways no one could ever imagine.
Buying Team Namibia is a choice you make for us, not just for you. Join the 2.5 million strong team that grows stronger with every single Team Namibia purchase. Team Namibia. Together, our future is brighter.
Coming to you from our Eros Park studios here in the capital, Windhoek. This is the midweek edition of Primetime News. Many thanks for tuning in. I'm Selima Shumwefeleni Masipa. We begin tonight's broadcast in the realm of energy. President Dr. Hage Geingob on Tuesday stated that Namibia is currently a hotbed for hydrocarbon prospecting with a share of 13% of all offshore rigs operating in Africa. Geingob made this observation during the 3-day African Energy Week held under the theme, The African Energy Renaissance, Prioritizing Energy, Poverty, People, Planet, Industrialization and Free Markets. The Energy Indaba commenced on Monday and concluded earlier today in Cape Town, South Africa. More on our lead report.
A statement issued by the presidency on Tuesday quoted the president as saying that the country has witnessed more than 36 wells being drilled, and today Namibia is on the cusp of birthing a globally significant hydrocarbon industry, and that for the African energy renaissance to be meaningful, Africa should be permitted to explore and exploit its natural endowments for the prosperity of the continent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the question is it contradictory for Namibia to advocate for the exploration of hydrocarbons on its shores while also pursuing green and blue economy? In my view, the answer is a resounding no. Not only can the two coexist, but indeed they are wholly interdependent and complementary in nature. Hydrocarbons continue to power the global economic engine today, with the just energy transition expected to take several decades before many nations achieve carbon neutrality.
Geingob noted it is an opportunity that is impossible to pass up, adding that in 2022, Shell and Total Energies announced major oil discoveries off Namibian shores that, if diligently developed, could result in light crude oil reserves estimated at 3 billion barrels. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukvonda.
Back home, during a session of the August House on Tuesday, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, responded to the Popular Democratic Movement leader, McHenry Vanani's question about the importance of having a strong voice condemning the war in Gaza. Let's have a listen on the International Relations and Cooperation Minister's response.
We are very much aware that Africa, and we are supporting Africa to have its bits at the multilateral table, at the UN, to have Security Council seat. We are fighting everywhere in the stratus of the world that the UN must be formed. But I want to ask the Deputy Prime Minister, why don't we have a strong lobbying voice on condemning the carnage happening in Gaza?
On the issue of us to mobilize, yes, we can talk as government, but our experience also tells us, in a situation like this, you cannot only leave it to the governments. I know our own situation. It was the civil societies, it was the churches, it was the trade unions, it was progressive political parties. But in our continent, in our country, everything is being allowed to the government. We are doing what we can do, but we also want the Namibians, the progressive to stand up and make that condemnation, support what your government is doing.
Now the latest developments on the Israel-Palestine conflict. U.S. President Joe Biden, on a visit to Israel earlier today, backed his allies' stance, blaming Palestinian militants for a rocket strike on a hospital that killed hundreds in war-torn Gaza and has inflamed anger across the Middle East. Arab countries blamed Israel, which has rained bombs on Gaza since the bloody October 7 attack by Hamas, and protests erupted in Muslim countries from Egypt to Pakistan, while Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah vowed a day of rage. But Biden, on a solidarity visit to meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, voiced support for Israel's position that a misfired Islamic Jihad rocket caused the deadly carnage at Gaza's Christian-run Ali Arab Hospital. Take a listen.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you.
On to courts, an application by one of the fish rod suspects, former Investec Asset Management Managing Director James Hatui-Kulipi, challenging a restraining order by the Prosecutor General Martha Imalwa, was dismissed with costs in the High Court on Tuesday. Judges Herman Westerhuizen and Collins Parker made the dismissal order and subsequently removed the matter from the court roll. More context from this insert.
Hatui-Kulipi constitutionally challenged provisions of the Prevention of Organized Crime Act. Imalwa in November 2020 successfully applied for the order, freezing the bank accounts and properties of the suspects in the high-ranking corruption scandal. According to Hatui-Kulipi, the restraint order violated his rights to be presumed innocent until found guilty. The presiding judges, however, found that since the restraint order proceeding was civil and not criminal in nature, the right to presumption of innocence in accordance with the Constitution did not apply. They found that Hatui-Kulipi's rights were not violated as the restraint order is an interim order aimed at preserving the assets pending the conclusion of the criminal trial. Prominent figures including former Justice Minister Sakeu Shangala and former Fisheries Minister Bernard Isau are also implicated in the saga. The trial was initially set for 2nd October 2023, but was postponed due to a number of factors, including the unavailability of funds to pay legal costs. As such, various legal aid implications are pending. Reporting for Primetime News, Chekonia Nehemia.
Stay tuned for the business segment. Welcome to the Primetime Biz segment, your leading source for the latest developments in the world of business and economics. We power our way into the segment with some positive developments in Windhoek's informal settlements. The city of Windhoek has electrified approximately 3,515 households in the informal settlements around Windhoek over a period of 5 years to the tune of 45 million Namibian dollars. This was revealed by City of Windhoek Mayor Joseph Wapingene during the official inauguration of the Informal Areas Electrification Project in Havana Extension 6 and 7 in the Samora Machel constituency on Tuesday.
These houses were electrified during the last 5 years of the previous 5-year electrification plan, 2017-2022, with lapsed during the last financial year, 2022-2023. The electrification project were funded by the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development and Non-Power with a combined capital investment of around 45 million. The works for electrification of Havana were told to not Havana, huh? We want to change now. Yeah. Havana Extension 6 and 7 Phase 2 were completed by the MH Electrical 458 contractors. The total number of households to be electrified during this phase is 162 households. To date, 105 houses were connected and switched on to the electricity grid and are now able to use electricity service. The outstanding houses is 57 will be completed once the appointment of auxiliary unit rate electrical contractor is finalized. The appointment is expected to be finalized by the end of October 2023.
On to neighboring country South Africa. Inflation in South Africa rose for a second consecutive month in September, pushed up by higher fuel prices after a period of cooling, official data showed Wednesday. South Africa's National Statistics Agency, Stats SA, revealed that annual consumer price inflation reached 5.4% last month, up from 4.8% in August. More context from this report.
The transport category, mainly influenced by fuel, exerted strong upward pressure, the agency added. Fuel prices rose by 7.6% between August and September, with the cost of 95-octane petrol in some areas reaching a 13-month high. Oil prices have jumped globally in recent months as a result of supply cuts by Saudi Arabia and Russia. They are now also suffering from fears that the Israel-Hamas conflict could spill over into a regional war. In South Africa, food prices also recorded a small increase, with food inflation reaching 8.1%. The central bank has set a target for inflation between 3 and 6% and kept its main interest rate unchanged at 8.25% last month. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukvonda.
For tomorrow's countrywide forecast, let's now consult the weather report. Sport Planet is your ultimate destination for everything sports related. We begin locally. The 19th edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash was launched in the capital on Tuesday, with a new category introduced to what is the longest single-staged mountain bike race in the world. The 2023 edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash is scheduled to take place from 8 to 9 December 2023, starting at Groove Mall in Windhoek and ending at Swakopmund's Platz Ammermeer Mall, with riders cycling through the Kommas Hoogland Mountains in 24 hours. Over 1,000 cyclists have entered for this year's event, with 160 cyclists participating in the two-person teams, 624 in the four-persons teams, and 190 cyclists riding solo. Speaking during the launch, Minister of Sport, Youth and National Service, Agnes Shongarero, said the Nedbank Desert Dash is an event that is essential for Namibia's growth as it unites people, encourages well-being, and cultivates a sense of national unity. On to football. The African Football League kicks off in Tanzania on Friday, bearing little resemblance to the original concept. It was launched amid much hype last year and called the CAF Africa Super League, with record prize money for an African club competition, including $11.5 million to the winners. A total of 24 clubs, 8 each from the North, West Center and Southeast regions, chosen on merit, would compete and get $2.5 million each in advance to buy players and cover travel costs. There were supposed to be 197 mini-league and knockout matches, culminating in a final African Football Confederation. President Patrice Motsepe said would be the Super Bowl of Africa. Stay tuned for your sports roundup. On that note, we have come to the end of the midweek broadcast of Primetime News. Many thanks for having made a midweek date with us. Catch us on the morrow as we unpack developments and happenings shaping the global village. Otherwise, from myself, Selima Shumwefeleni Masipa, alongside my dedicated production crew behind the scenes, it's adios till tomorrow. Good night.